Other seasons flashed by, and this time, they literally broke the record for most goals scored in a single season ever. These are the best goals in the 2023-24 season. Brahim Diaz versus RB Leipzig. Starting out with this peach of a strike from Real Madrid's Brahim Diaz. We're used to seeing either Jude Bellingham or Vinny Jr. come up with audacious goals for Los Blancos. But this kid made sure no one left him out of the conversation. Diaz received the ball on the edge of the box, seemingly hemmed in by 3 defenders, and it really looked like he had nowhere to go. But it didn't scare him. He took on the entire back 4, and Real really needed that goal too, because the game ended 1-0. Talk about bagging a clutch winner. Breathtaking. McAllister against Fulham. This next guy's a midfielder, and even though it's not his job, he came up with this outrageous strike against Fulham. It's not often you strike a ball as cleanly as this, but Alexis McAllister's thunderbolt was probably the best strike of the ball in his career. This 23-year-old Argentine midfielder, known more for his playmaking skills, unleashed a screamer that left everyone in awe. McAllister picked up the ball just outside the box after a loose clearance. He took a single touch to control it, then unleashed a rocket of a shot that seemed to defy physics. The ball swerved viciously in the air, leaving the Fulham goalkeeper rooted to the spot before exploding into the back of the net. It seems Liverpool's midfield renovation has really worked out for Jurgen Klopp. Bamuaka Simakala versus Osnabrück. Speaking of a once-in-a-lifetime connection, Bamuaka Simakala. Boy, that name's hard to say. This guy tried one of the hardest shots in football and shocked everyone by how quickly it flew into the goal. Striking a ball that accurately the first time is not for everyone, especially if it's coming down that fast. But this guy took it on and scored probably the best goal of his life. Look at the technique as well. He's throwing everything he has behind that and is still somehow under control of the shot. Someone needs to sign this rocket launcher immediately, because talent like this guy's definitely a match winner. Timothy Weah versus Salernitana. If you didn't know this was a video about crazy goals, you would expect Weah to beat a couple of players, decide it's too far out for a shot, and pass it to a teammate. But he wouldn't be on this list if he did that. He was running past the midfielders at full sprint, but Weah didn't care. He could have passed it to a teammate in a better position or just kept going. But as they say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. He just let it fly, and boy did it fly. The keeper could see it all the way and still had no idea where it was going. This was a goal worth all the bucks, but it wasn't as rare as this next one. Yacine Samia versus Al Naft. We've seen our fair share of bicycle kicks on this channel, but do you know what's better than one bicycle kick? 2. Yacine Samia's overhead kick against Al Naft's a moment that defies explanation. A cross swung into the box seemed destined to be cleared, but Yacine's teammate tried to go for the spectacular and got it slightly wrong. Instead of going goalwards, his shot served as another cross from the other side, and Yacine reacted quickest with a bicycle kick of his own. The connection was as good as he could have hoped for, and the ball rocketed past the stunned goalkeeper. You can't really fault the goalie either. When the opponents come up with something this outrageous, there's little you could do other than just stand and watch. That gem came out of nowhere, but it wasn't as unpredictable as this next player's strike in what was probably the game of his life. Maino versus Liverpool. Wonder Kids are supposed to be exciting, but Kobbie Mainoo, the 18-year-old Manchester United midfielder, took it to a whole new level against Liverpool. With the score tied and Old Trafford buzzing, a loose ball fell to Mainoo just outside the box. Most youngsters would take a touch or play it safe, but Mainoo wasn't having any of it. With a first-time volley, he unleashed a thunderous strike that seemed to defy his age. The ball rocketed past a bewildered Kelleher in the Liverpool goal, pretty much blowing the roof off of Old Trafford. He's already been having a pretty strong season under Erik ten Hag, but this goal announced Mainoo's arrival on the big stage, a moment of pure power and precision that had everyone wondering if the future of Liverpool was already here. And he's just getting started. A Wonder Kid's wonder goal, but he's not the only youngster in England who's been having a crazy season. Patrick Bamford versus Peterborough United. The best goals often come from the lower tiers of football. Not that the championship's a low tier, but the level's nowhere near the Premier League. This goal, though, would have been jaw-dropping in every competition, because Patrick Bamford really let it rip with this one. He received an awkward pass, and after showing crazy control with the chest, unleashed a thunderbolt into the back of the net. The ball swerved viciously in the air, leaving the Peterborough goalkeeper rooted to the spot. They said this guy was a special striker, But this? Even Bamford couldn't believe that. Just look at the celebrations. He's just as surprised as everyone else. It's a shame Leeds United won't be in the Premier League again, because Bamford would have set the pitch on fire with skills like this. For now, let's focus on players in the Premier League. Phil Foden versus Real Madrid. Or more specifically, the Champions League. When a young English talent goes to the Bernabeu and silences the crowd, you know it's something special. Phil Foden, the 22-year-old Manchester City starlet, did just that with a goal that'll be replayed for years to come. Picking up the ball on the left side of the box, Foden seemed hemmed in by 3 defenders, but with the defender breathing down his neck, he did the unthinkable. With a subtle touch, he cut inside and unleashed a curling effort that seemed to defy physics. The ball seemed to completely fit into the top left corner. Picture perfect. The Bernabeu fell silent, and that's saying something considering the type of goals that the game witnessed. Almost all the goals in that game were bangers. Valverde versus Manchester City, including this next one. In the same game, Valverde pulled this off to stun City with one of the best shots ever. This guy's supposed to be a central midfielder, but he could defend, attack, and run for the entire 90 minutes. And when he's not saving his side's bacon, he comes up with outrageous goals. That's exactly what Feed Valverde, the 24-year-old Real Madrid powerhouse, did against Manchester City. He received the ball on the edge of the area, and he just ran up to it, throwing everything behind the ball. This is the kind of stuff dreams are made of. From the outside of the boot, straight into the bottom far corner. The keeper couldn't even see it, let alone save it. And he's not the only keeper who was made to look like a fool. Rashford versus Manchester City. The Manchester Derby is probably the most intense rivalry in world football. And scoring a goal like this one in a game like that is probably the biggest flex Rashford has. United haven't been favorites against City in quite a while, so when Rashford stepped up and delivered this, the United fans rejoiced like there's no tomorrow. Things were looking promising with that long ball, but Bruno got held up and had to tee someone else up. Lucky for him, Rashford was running up to the edge of the area, and all he had to do was put it in front of him. Rashford released a thunderous strike towards the top left corner, and the result was probably the most satisfying sight in football. The ball hit the bar and bounced inside the goal. Ederson reacted pretty quickly, but no keeper in the world would have reached that. And that's not it. There's hundreds of bangers on the list, but for now, that's all we could talk about.